Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Too Many Frames, the show where we talk about all things games, anime, and everything else in between. I'm not gonna lie, we had a lot of things happen. I kind of postponed today's episode by a few days. It was usually, as you know, the shows are supposed to come out on Mondays, and I was gonna have it come out on Tuesday because of, the Super Bowl and everything, and, all the shit that was going on. Usually I record on Sundays, so it would have been recorded on Sunday, uploaded on Monday, but I was like, let me delay it for the Super Bowl, because, I wanted to spend time with family and friends and whatnot. And then I delayed it again because we found out that we're getting that state of play. And then I also found out that Overwatch thing ended up coming out further information thing. So we have a few things to go ahead and talk about. First and foremost, let's go ahead and just get into the shit that happened most recently, being the Sony state of play. Have you been out of the loop? Sony had their Sony state of play recently. As of recording this, it was earlier today. They did show a few games off. They showed off Monster Hunter Wilds, which was going to end up getting a free title update, including Mizutsune. We also have the next Sonic racing game, which genuinely looks really, really cool. We saw that they were putting in a FNAF game. We saw that Stellar Blade is getting DLC. We also saw that Lies of P was going to be getting DLC later on in the summer. And of course, the people that made Returnal ended up announcing their next project being called Seros. Now, there's a lot of games here. I'm not going to go over every single one. I wanted to do a reaction for this, but unfortunately I was busy that day. I had other commitments to take care of. I will say, when I first watched all of this, I probably wouldn't have had a good reaction anyways, because I didn't really care about too many of the games. The game that I cared the most about was Monster Hunter Wilds, and they showed that at the very beginning. So my hype would have been at the very beginning, and then maybe with a couple other games. I know we did get a Shinobi game and the Onimusha games, which I think look really good, but I'm not like 2 games out of the entire 45-minute presentation, not necessarily enough for me. And I think at the beginning I had more of a sort of just negative outlook for them, because I'm like, damn, where's Bloodborne? That's what I was looking for. I was looking for Bloodborne the entire time. If you didn't know, it's the 10th anniversary this year for Bloodborne. A lot of people were wondering, hey, it would make a lot of sense at this Sony state of play that was being rumored. Keep in mind, we knew about the rumors of us getting a state of play way earlier on this year, and we got it, lo and behold, but a lot of people were expecting us to get something from Bloodborne. So honestly, not necessarily disappointed. I can't really be disappointed in something that I never really believed in, but when people started kind of connecting the dots and being like, hey, look, this is the same year, Sony's taking down a bunch of mods and stuff, and it just made me kind of think, we might see Bloodborne later on this year. Now, this isn't saying we're never going to get Bloodborne again. I feel like, yeah, if we're going to get a Bloodborne game, it should be coming out on the 10th anniversary. But even if it doesn't, it could come out next year or get announced next year, whatever. It's just, I feel like if they're not going to do it now, then there's really no point in them doing it. Not saying no point in them doing it, they should just do it. But it's like, if you had all this hope for the past 10 years for a brand new Bloodborne game to come out, or a remaster or remake, whatever, or a port to PC, this year is the year to hope for it, like as much as possible, because after the 10-year anniversary is gone, not saying that there's zero chance, it's just that there's more, they don't have a reason really to do anything for the product. Not saying that every product needs an anniversary anything, but if they don't talk about the 10th anniversary, which is usually a huge milestone, especially for video games, for Bloodborne, probably pack it up. But if I did rewatch the state of play, just to have a fresher, mindset. Keep in mind, I was busy with other things while this was going on. So when I was watching it, I was kind of only watching a few clips every now and then until I was able to watch it all in full. And once I watched it in full, I was like, you know what? At the very least, they're showing gameplay. And that's all I could really ask, because this could have been a whole Game Awards thing where the Game Awards go on and then we see no gameplay at all from those said games. And then we just kind of guess we'll wait till later on to see if we should be excited for these games or not, because there's really nothing to really be excited about. So I don't know. But regardless, I do think that the state of play wasn't as bad as I thought initially. I know a lot of people online were like, damn, that was it? No Bloodborne? That shit was ass. Yes, but well, not necessarily ass. It was just disappointing. We were obviously not the target demographic, unfortunately. And honestly, I still think that the joke about Sony not having games or PlayStation not having games as of right now still holds true. Most of those games that they did show at that state of play is not PS5 exclusive. I think they maybe had a couple games there that were specifically going to be for PS5. at least when they come out. And I really can't even think of how many of those there are. I think just the Saros game, I believe, and maybe one other thing. I really can't remember. But regardless, hopefully we see some more games later on this year for PlayStation 5. I feel like the state that we're kind of in with the PS5 is a little bit lackluster, especially when considering, you know, Xbox is already kind of, and I don't want to say it feels like they're giving up, but at least in terms of like having first party content, Xbox doesn't really have a lot that's like specifically for Xbox. So there's not really giving you a reason to own an Xbox if you wanted to, you know, have a reason to own it over anything else. And I feel like Sony is kind of missing out, and they kind of probably feel like, well, hey, look, there's nobody to really push us right now, so we don't really need to push for first party games, you know. So I'm just hoping later on, you know, something changes, because we all know that competition breeds innovation at the end of the day, and if there's no competition, then nothing's gonna innovate. So do you guys remember E3? I know I sure do, and honestly I still miss E3, even though it kind of got replaced by Summer Games Fest. It does feel like we're kind of missing that thing, you know. There's usually like one time in the year where you really kind of got excited for games from multiple developers, and E3 was really the ones that, you know, kind of did it. They kind of like helped all those people come together, all those other game developers looking at each other's games and stuff and seeing what everybody else was doing, and then it eventually got opened up to the public, and everybody was able to see those games that were announced on the show floors and play them and try them out that day. It was fun. It was fun times. I never got to go, so I'm a little bit sad, because, you know, I was in high school when E3 was really kicking around, and then COVID ended up happening and ended up hurting E3 even more, and then year after year E3 just got worse and worse, and then it eventually died and it went away. But it seems like something very, very similar is going to end up replacing it, and that is looking like it's called Econ, which I hope I'm not mispronouncing that wrong. It's spelled IICON. February 6th, the ESA announced the launch of the Interactive Innovation Conference, a first of its kind event designed to connect visionaries, thought leaders, and innovators from across industries to harness the power of interactive entertainment. Taking place April 27th to the 30th in 2026 at Fontainebleau Resort in Las Vegas, attendees will gain exclusive access to visionary keynotes, engaging discussions and workshops, and elite networking opportunities with executives shaping the future of entertainment, business, and technology. Icon promises to bring together a broad spectrum of sectors that converge with interactive entertainment, including film, television, and music, as well as sports, healthcare, education, finance, and more. And the CEO said, for decades, video games have been at the storefront of technology and cultural innovation. With Icon, we are creating a space for visionaries across industries to come together, connect, and reimagine what's possible through interactive entertainment. We'll learn from and engage with industry icons, including leaders from Amazon Games, Disney, Electronic Arts, Epic Games, Microsoft, Nintendo of America, Sony Interactive Entertainment, Square Enix, Take-Two Interactive, Ubisoft, and Warner Bros. Games. As the global video game industry is set to surpass $300 billion in projected revenue by 2027, Icon will be the premier summit for discovering new opportunities powered by the industry and its technology. With that being said, it's not necessarily going to be an E3 where people are showing off games and stuff like how, as we kind of, you know, once had in the past. Once Nintendo was doing it on their own with their Nintendo Directs, and then Sony was like, we don't really need to be at E3 every year. We can do it with our own shit, right? It just made a lot more sense for industries or for companies to be like, we're just gonna go ahead and have our own little conferences, and then that's where people will see our games. But I do think that that does limit some people, because yes, while Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft can do that, I don't think every single company can really have the chance to do that and be seen. That's why I liked E3 a lot, because it was one spot where a lot of people that were in attendance could see these games and be like, wait, that's actually fire. I remember seeing people be like, yeah, I tried this game out over there. Not a lot of people were talking about it, and you know, it was actually pretty cool, yada 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 yada, you know, like way back in the day, you know. And then I liked that we used to have Nintendo tree houses and everything, bro. Like it was just so much fun back then. Now, I don't think we're gonna get those things exactly back once again, but I do think that this is at least the step forward that we kind of need to have again for the gaming industry, just so that way we can like have some sort of connectivity between groups. And I think what we need to see it, because even though yes, companies are connecting with each other, probably behind the scenes. I feel like we're not really seeing that connection. We're kind of just hearing it as a word of mouth. I feel like, yeah, the fact that they're even doing a convention like this or a conference like this, or a summit as it's called, kind of makes me feel like, okay, they could see that gaming is getting to a certain point where they kind of need to take action in terms of, like, you know, price or just innovation, just like games in general kind of getting stale. Not saying that games are bad right now. Games are really good right now, actually. It's just that I could definitely see us getting to a place where it starts plateauing and we end up needing, you know, some room to improve and kind of, you know, rework stuff. During COVID, I feel like we definitely disconnected a little bit from each other. And I think that this is probably like the best opportunity, even though it happened six years after the pandemic started. It's good at least that it's starting now, and hopefully in the future this means a better space for games, and hopefully for the people that also work on those games as well. I did want to go ahead and talk about the new Overwatch update, but before we get into that, I do want to talk about a fallen soldier being Smite and Paladins. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, Smite was going away anyways, but Smite and Paladins is shutting down. Smite 2 just came out, so it definitely makes sense as to why Smite was going to go away. For me personally, I just felt like Smite 2 and Smite coexisting together would not have made as much sense for the company, you know, that made those games. It would have just kind of been them kind of funding and supporting servers about those games. But Paladins taking that hit is really kind of shocking, but also not shocking at the same time. They sort of reported Smite and Paladins dead as Hi-Rez lays off dozens of employees as a result of massive layoffs affecting several parts of Hi-Rez Studios and subsidiary companies Titan Forge, Rally Here, and Evil Mojo Games. Development on both Paladins and Smite has completely ceased. While these titles will still be alive for the foreseeable future and they're keeping servers up, both games will no longer receive any content updates, even including minor bug fixes. Both games won't be touched by developers ever again and are, for all intents and purposes, dead. Not gonna lie to you, I kind of saw this coming a little bit. I realized for a long time that Paladins has been around for a while. Like, it's been around for a minute, like almost as long as Overwatch. And Overwatch has been around since like 2016, right? Almost 10 years since that game's been out. And Paladins has kind of been in his shadow for a long time. And even though people are saying, oh, Paladins is better, like there's like a small group of people that were saying that, right? But you know, even though people were saying that Paladins is better and yada, 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 there was like a small like cult following, but it was never enough to really stick around. And once people dropped off of Overwatch, they definitely didn't go to fucking Paladins. And obviously since Marvel Rivals did come out and was supposed to be called the Overwatch Killer, if the Overwatch Killer is, you know, doing so well, and then Overwatch is kind of hurting, then what's gonna happen to the person that's like supposedly, you know, the other Overwatch killer when it was out? It was gonna die, and it was not as successful, obviously. It's really unfortunate that a lot of these layoffs are happening. You could tell that the people that made these games really did enjoy making them, and it really does suck because, like, bro, like a lot of those people already made Smite 2. Once Smite 2 gets released, I'll get axed, and that really sucks. I think that's like probably the most like heartbreaking part about this news. But what I will say though is that this is, at this point, it's just another thing that's gonna continuously happen. We have these games that are live service, they're all competing for our attention, and once one does so well, or a new one comes out and does well and does better than the other ones that have existed before it, and then another new one comes out and does better than that one, then the older ones just get kind of left to die, and they are not really allowed to, you know, kind of exist and thrive anymore. Not even with minor bug patches. Like, you know, like the game could be like so good and have like a lot of characters and content, but like, you know, there's still some bugs in it because of how old the game is, and they won't even fucking patch it. Like base Smite isn't getting any patches, no new updates, nothing. Eventually we're going to be getting a lot of games. Since video games are such a competitive market in general, like I said, they're all vying for your attention. They're trying to buy, you know, they're trying to get your money. They're trying to, you know, get, like, they're fighting for like revenue and like just solidifying themselves within the gaming space and being like a huge, like, iconic franchise. And not every game is going to be able to do that. And we saw that with Concord too. Concord only lasted a couple of seconds and it didn't even, you know, really get its first month out, which really is kind of, I don't even think it got its first week out. I don't even, like that's how bad it got. So it just goes to show that even if your game was beloved for like a very long time and you supported it for like almost 10 years, it can go away just kind of like that. Now these games are still here, they're still around luckily, and even if these games get shut down and the servers go away, more than likely it's going to be up to the fans to kind of keep that scene active, but it's just going to be too much effort at that point, you know. Like I know this isn't really the same thing, but with games like Dragalia Lost or like other games that got shut down where you kind of are required to stay online and be connected to the internet, once they got shut down and the servers went down, even though, yeah, there are exploits to kind of be able to connect back online to those games, it's just too much work, at least for me. Like, yes, I love the game, but I guess I just didn't love it enough to like want to go and, you know, find these servers, download those APKs or whatever to my computer, whatever. And that's what a lot of people are gonna have to do for these games, because if you don't, then you won't be able to play these games ever again, and you might have to just kind of be okay with that. But with that being said, since we're talking about the market being competitive, we are seeing other games start fighting back. And of course, we talked about it on the show the last time, Overwatch is trying and fighting to stay alive. It was not going to let Marvel Rivals take it down. And even though, yes, I was preying on the game's downfall, I will say I never really thought it was going to die. Not 100%, not right now, not that soon. It would have been a long, slow, painful death if they did nothing really to change shit up. But it's obvious that they were planning on stuff, you know, to shake up the gameplay and whatnot. So if you didn't know, we ended up getting a Overwatch spotlight earlier on February 12th. And they showed a lot of what the next generation of Overwatch is kind of looking like. Now, it's obviously not a new game. It's still Overwatch 2, but they are updating the game a lot to where it does look like it's going to feel like a new game. They're putting in perks, which are like little abilities that you can get that can massively change the way that you play. They're adding in a brand new competitive mode, being Stadium, where you can go ahead and mod out your character, build them in different ways in a 1st to 7 competitive team match. They're putting in a third person mode. They're putting in another K-pop collab with Seraphim. They're making a Zenyatta skin for me specifically. Putting in magical girl skins. They gave Mercy mythical weapon, Widowmaker mythical weapon. They dropped like 2 new heroes, and even brought back loot boxes from the dead. And I'm gonna be honest, when I was watching this, I couldn't stop screaming. Not in a positive way. It's just because I know that they're trying their hardest to rope me back in. I'm sure I said this before, that the only way for Overwatch 2 to bring me back is if they gave us a mythic Zenyatta skin, and they did. Now, if I don't go back and play it, I look like a liar. Honestly, I don't think I care if I look like a liar. Anyways, regardless, and I don't appreciate that. I don't appreciate that. Like, all these changes that you guys could have done over a year ago because you had no competition, and now y'all want to start doing it because you're getting your ass beat. Like, this is what I'm talking about. This is how greedy, not even greedy, this is how lazy that they really have been. And this just goes to show you. Now, look, I'm not gonna lie to you. I think that all of these changes were definitely needed to kind of not just differentiate Overwatch from Marvel Rivals, but to differentiate Overwatch 2 from Overwatch 1. There's really no difference besides, like, okay, you're taking away one person, no more loot boxes, you're also getting all these new characters and new maps, but that's it though. That's it. 5v5, no loot boxes, more characters and maps. That's all we got. That's really all we got. And you can be like, okay, but we got Hero Mastery. Let's be honest, how many of y'all are doing Hero Mastery? I don't think any of you Overwatch players are doing Hero Mastery at all. The events that we've been getting, trash. The collabs, dookie butter. Like, genuinely, bro, I don't know. look, they're doing some good stuff here. Look, and they're saying that later on, the second half of the year, they're gonna have even crazier shit coming out, which I'll believe it when I see it. I am very impressed based on what I've seen, and by very impressed, I'm just an easy person to impress in general. So you impressing me doesn't really mean anything to like a regular person, but they are putting a lot of things in this game to at least make it feel a little bit different. They're taking some inspiration from Paladins right after Paladins kind of got shot behind the barn. So we'll see. We'll see if Overwatch really kind of does anything to bring itself back and make itself, you know, known as one of the better, or known as the competitive team-based game. But the thing is, though, I don't think that's gonna happen. It's still gonna be a tough race. It's gonna be hard for them. I think Marvel Rivals, in and of itself, just has not only the star power with like the Marvel characters, but it also has just like recency bias. Like, and I'm not even saying that Marvel Rivals is bad. I'm just saying that with how recent Marvel Rivals came out and how good it was since launch, people are gonna only think of the good things about the game as of right now, like the overwhelmingly positive things of the game, rather than the negative. And there's been nothing but negative things that has been said about Overwatch 2. You can put in as many fucking anime collabs or Transformers collabs as you want. That is not enough for people to be like, you know what, that makes Overwatch a good game because they put in that fucking Transformers collab. I got Bumblebee in the game. That's not enough. Not enough. We need actual gameplay changes. We need other stuff. It looks like they're doing it though, so I'm not gonna go ahead and harp on this for too long. With that being said, though, that is going to be today's show. If you enjoyed everything that you've seen here, go ahead and leave a like, leave a comment. If you have anything you wanted to talk about, if you want me to talk about anything in the next show for next week, go ahead and let me know. I do have a few videos coming out that I have planned before the end of February. You'll probably all see them within the upcoming weeks. So if you want to see those, go ahead and make sure you hit the subscribe button, notification bell, turn that shit on so you can know when I'm uploading another video. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.